let me
Go
ask you
ahead.
this question. Suppose somebody is in a diocese where the bishop has forbidden confession, and you're in a state of mortal sin. I understand what you're saying about an act of perfect contrition, but um, I mean, I personally would just contact my priest, who I think would hear my confession anyway. Would you advise against that? Do you think that wouldn't be right of the priest to do, or would you think that would be a rather good thing of the priest to do, providing he took the right
Uh,
precautions, though he's disobeying his bishop?
Again, I defer to Ed Peters. He's got called the Canon Law blog, and he's written two excellent pieces recently on what are the parameters of what can be done. And he seems definitely to be saying that the bishops don't have the right to refuse priests, the right to perform the sacraments unless they're being disciplined for personal bad behavior on their
Mm.
own part. They can't forbid them something that was given to them by God to be able to perform these sacraments. And he it's an amazing piece that he at one point he said that it's a defect in canon law that we don't have very urgent procedures for urgent cases, that if bishops have made very bad decisions and have put their priests under some obedience not to provide the sacraments, that needs to be able to be challenged and challenged quickly, because priests really are spectacularly obedient human beings. I mean, they really want to obey their bishop. These are not men. I mean, they all might be rebels like the rest of us in certain respects, but this has been somewhere where they have disciplined their wills. They took a vow of
Mm-hmm.
obedience. Now, that's more narrowly tailored than I think most priests and certainly most bishops understand. What your if he tells you to wear or not wear a MAGA hat, I don't know that you have to wear it or not to wear it. I don't know that he has the right to put you under that obedience. I think it would be wise to obey him for if he told you various things like that, and cooperation in non-essentials, that sort of thing. But we're talking essentials here. And yes, I think there are different things that the priest can do without any fear that they are breaking their vow of obedience, that this is something that the bishops have no
Mm.
right to ask them. It's much like making a promise, not to give certain information out. And then that information turns out to be essential for a life-saving matter. Maybe for even the person who gave you made you made you promise to keep something secret. If someone asks you to keep something secret, to make a promise, and then later it's clearly that it shouldn't apply to this particular circumstance that we're under now, you can break that promise without sinning. And it seems to me that priests need to prayerfully discern with God. Should they, if someone asks for a baptism, if I'm in a diocese where I'm told I can't do baptism, what does God want me to do? I'm not going to do a knee-jerk, in a certain sense, obedient to my bishop, which I've trained myself to do for decades now, he might say. But in this instance, I'm going to God and asking God whether he thinks I should do this.
Hey, if you enjoyed that clip, you will absolutely love the full interview, so click right there to enjoy the whole thing. Also, a big thanks to these groups who made that interview possible. Learn more in the show notes below about these guys. They're absolutely incredible, and honored to have them as sponsors. Oh, and also, if you haven't subscribed yet, click subscribe and then that bell button. That way YouTube will be forced to let you know when we put out more content.